Okay. I think we're good to go. Yeah?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So, welcome everybody. It's been an interesting time with you over the past few months. This is actually the Design Boost. My name is Joanna Chamel. I'm the coordinator for the Ghana Design Network, as some of you or most of you already know. And we have put together this Design Boost program in collaboration with Butterfly Works, which is a co-creation design agency in the Netherlands, and also with our partner, Dr. Monk, here in Ghana and in the Netherlands, a research agency. And the whole idea of this program is actually to help you as designers and also as design lecturers and business clients to be able to boost up your skills, especially for you as designers, to be able to work for clients and be able to have the required and necessary skills that you need to be able to build a better design career. So today, I'm not here alone. I'm here with my colleagues from Butterfly Works, Irena, Thais, you hear from them, Johannika, Mira. I don't think Muriel is on the call today, but you would hear from them from time to time. Also, Elizabeth from Dr. Monk, you hear from her. And we also have our trainers. Can you hear me clearly? I can see someone said there's noise in the background. I think if you are not speaking, then you kindly mute your mic so that we can hear the one who is speaking. So please mute your mic if you're not speaking. Thank you. And also we have our trainer in the house and a very amazing inspirational speaker for us today. You would hear from them in due time. But this is the first session. This is the first session of the training program that is going to span over a month. And from time to time, we will take you through different fields of trainings, the value of design, project management, budgeting, and client management. And I believe that you will love it. So buckle up. It's going to be a very awesome ride. But I would let my colleague Thais run us through the agenda for today.
Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, so indeed, well, I was firstly just wanting to share back with you a quick overview of where we are at. So as you know, this is a 4-week training program. So, well, we already initiated with the opening session. We already had the selection, and that's all the group that's here. So congratulations for everyone that's here. And we're starting today with the session 1 on the value of design. And so today is also a day to get to know each other, understand who's here, work on our assignments and on our pitches of who we are as designers. And in the upcoming 3 weeks, we will be working in teams, so designer teams that will be working on client assignments. So it's a very hands-on training, very practical. We will have these sessions together, and there will also be some time that's required from you to be working as a team in your own time. And then we will follow up with a closing session in the end. So that will be a celebration session. We intend this session to be offline. So more information will come. We're hoping that all the COVID rules will not create any problems regarding making it offline. And after this training is finished, we follow it up with an exchange program. So the date and when this will happen is still to be determined based on the COVID rules. But there will be 10 designers selected for this exchange program to come here to the Netherlands. So that's it. And maybe before I move on to the agenda, we just wanted to also get to know a little bit who's here in the room. So if you can kindly, so we will go for a quick round of introduction for everyone. So if you can share your name and what design field you work on. and also which, if you're a client business, which company you're working for. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Thais. I'm a learning experience designer at Butterfly Works. So I'm one of the facilitators, trainers of this program. Really looking forward to meeting everybody. Maybe a quick round for all the trainers to present themselves. Irene, would you like to go?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Irene, and I'm a design researcher at Butterfly Works, and I'm gonna be a facilitator today also. I'm very excited. Maybe Liz?
Yeah.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Elizabeth Johnson and I am with Dr. Monk. I am a researcher and projects manager with Dr. Monk, so I am in charge of the Accra office. We also have an office in the Netherlands.
Thank you, Liz. Joanna? Joanna, are you there? Oh. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Joanna Chamel, the coordinator for the Ghana Design Network, and we have basically put this program together with Butterfly Works.
Thank you. Joanneke?
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had breakfast and some coffee to start the day with. I'm the program manager of this training program, and you'll hear from me, hopefully not too much, only in the background, sending you logistical emails and all of that. Good luck, everyone.
Peter Kirsten? I see that you're also there. Would you like to present yourself?
I think Peter is on mute.
Yeah. Julia, meanwhile, you can present yourself. Oh, no, Peter is there. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just a listener, and I'm based in Amsterdam, and I'm the founder of the Ghana Design Network.
Thank you, Peter. Julia?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Julia. I'm your expert trainer for today. So I'm an associate professor at Delft University of Technology. You learn more about me in a bit, so I'll keep this short. Really excited about today.
Thank you. All right, so who do I begin with here from the list? Oh yes, and Sunita, sorry. Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, guys. I hope you can hear me properly. So my name is Sunita Cragbe. I'm based in Accra. I'm the founder of Basecamp Initiative, which is a creative co-working hub. And also I'm the creative director of a design studio that sits within Basecamp Initiative. And we specialize in advertising, branding, design for different solutions, strategy, and content development.
Thank you. Okay, Huda. Just please your name and what do you do? Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Nana Aban. I'm a freelance graphic designer based here in Accra, Ghana.
Thank you. Thank you, Nana. And Huda?
I think Huda just chatted that there's a problem with her audio. So
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Korfa?
Hello, I'm Akofa and I'm the management team coordinator of NCAP.
Thank you. Aku?
Hi, my name is Kafui. I work as a freelance graphic designer and I'm based here in Accra.
Thank you. Albert?
My name is Albert. I'm a graphic designer based in Accra. I work with a marketing communication firm called Dreamline. I also have my design practice called Yenuye, which is Do It Well. So I'm happy to be part of the program.
Nice, thank you so much. Bless? Charles instead.
Hi, my name is Charles Agbemashaw, and I'm the CEO of We Go Innovate, and we are an edutech platform. So I'm on this project or program as a client or a business, and I'm super excited to be here. Hoping to learn a lot.
Thank you. Bless, I see you're muted now.
Okay. Hello, good morning. My name is Bless Amasachi, and I am CEO Echo Blakes Investments and Happy Eagle Tourism Management. Now, Echo Blakes is a startup manufacturing company in Ghana that produces alcohol-based surface wipes and alcohol-based surface spray. And Happy Eagle is a tour operations company also located in Ghana.
Thank you. Emmanuel.
Hi everyone, my name is Emmanuel Lamte, and I'm a UI and graphics designer here in Accra. And I'm excited to be here.
Nice, thank you. James?
Hi, my name is James Chiobi. I'm a product designer and design and run Hero Collections. Hero Collections makes African fashion products that empower young people to achieve greatness, from the hands that use them to the hands that make these products. Thanks. I'm excited to be part of this program. Looking forward to a fruitful session.
Nice, thank you so much. Kumorzi? Michael? Yeah, I see you're unmuted. Can you hear us? Okay. Lebeni?
Hi, I am Lebeni Ledi. I have a background in environmental management. The name of the company is Made in Environmental Services, sorry. But I also have an art events company. So I have wine and art, which includes design now, because I've started doing interior design as well. So I'm a bit of everything.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Mensadoku. I'm the graphic designer at We Go Innovate, an edutech platform, and I'm excited to be here.
Nice, thank you. Nene?
Hi, my name is Nene Bueboite, a freelance designer based in Accra, running a small company called Bagels Global, dealing graphic designing, branding, and advertising solutions. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Natasha?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Natasha Larmi, current manager of Design Consultants, an architecture and interior design firm. I would say I'm an interior designer and a landscape designer. So I'm very happy you selected me. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to have you here. Violette?
Hi everyone, I'm Violette Tasari. I work with Central University. I have a background in publishing studies and graphic design, and I work with children to develop their creative arts as well. I'm glad to be here to learn more techies. Thank you.
Thank you. Prince?
Hi everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Prince and I'm excited to be here. I'm a freelance graphic designer based in Accra, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you. Osborne?
I have a background in publishing studies from KNUST, also an accountant and running a graphic design company in Accra, Media Communications Limited. The focus mainly is graphic design, brand identity design, and digital and print communications as well. And I'm very excited to be here.
Nice, thank you. Werlainam? Sika, I'm not sure if I pronounce it properly.
You mentioned it right here. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Werlainam Sika, and you could call me Wala. I'm a freelance designer and a consultant partner with Strategic Plus Solutions Limited, one to marketing and digital events. I'm really excited to be part of this program, and I look forward to making the most out of it. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. Richard?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
My name is Richard Joseph, and I currently work as a design lead at Blueprint Africa, which is a brand communication consulting agency that helps businesses build up a strategy, communication, and content creation.
Nice.
I'm based
Thank
in
you.
Accra, by the way.
Thank you so much. Nice to have you here. And Emmanuel Marfo.
Hi, this is Emmanuel Marfo. I work for Grassroots Hub as the communication lead and co-founder. I'm in charge for design thinking methodology in the hub. I'm also part of the process for initiating hubs into using design thinking with our partners that are working in social entrepreneurship ecosystem. I'm happy to be part of this training. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. Ellie? Are you there? Kumorzi, maybe you would like to present yourself again?
Yes, please. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My name is Michael Kumoji Tete. I'm a graphic designer, currently the communications assistant for West Africa Civil Society Institute, a regional-based civil society in Accra, in charge of 15 ECOWAS countries, including Cameroon, Chad, and then Mauritania. So I'm based in Accra. Thank you.
Thank you. Huda Ibrahim?
Yes, thank you. I'm Huda Ibrahim. I work as a creative director for cityjob.com. It's a freelance platform that connects freelancers and artisans, local service providers to customers who need their services. I also work as a freelance graphic designer myself. So in this case, I'd say I'm a client and the business. I'm especially looking forward to developing better design perspectives by taking part in this course. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I missed someone.
Ellie, that could.
Yeah, Ellie. Okay, should we try again if we can hear you? If not, you can introduce yourself via the chat.
Maybe try to log in.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I had to change my device. My name is Eli. I am a graphic designer based in Accra and also a brand strategist, so working freelance. And I also help manage creative talents, helping designers and other creatives to manage the business aspect of the design industry, you know, to monetize their talents properly. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to all the resource persons and then all the lessons that I can take away from this platform.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to have everyone here. I think I covered everyone. If not, please raise your hands and I can come back to you. I'll just move ahead and just quickly introduce the agenda. So, well, we've done the welcome so far. We're going to follow with an inspiration talk by Sunita. Then we will follow with a webinar on the value of design with Julia Calabretta. Then we will have a 15 minutes break. We will follow with a case presentation by Jessie Van Oos. And then we will have a work session together with Julia again on the value of design. And then we will close the session also sharing a bit what are the next steps, a homework assignment for today to prepare for the next session. A quick recap on the rules of engagement. Just let us know, well, you've introduced yourself, but make sure that your login name represents your name so everyone can identify you. If possible, turn on your camera. It's always nice to see each other. Mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Share your questions and thoughts in the chat or by raising your hand. Please, if you want to share any feedback, you're open and welcome to do that in the chat. It's okay to take any breaks. When you're in the breakout rooms with the smaller teams, please communicate in the chat so people know what to expect from you. If you need any support, please, you can share a private message to any of us from the facilitator team, also Butterfly Works, me and Irene. And we also shared via email a form for anyone who needs data support. So we're providing data support for every participant, up to 10 euros per session. So yeah, please, you need to sign up in order to get that. Yeah, and I think that's it. So we're ready for, if there's anyone that was missing with introducing yourself, please do that in the chat for anyone that's arriving a little bit later. And we can move ahead now with the inspirational talk. I'll give it to you, Joanna.
Thank you so much, Thais, and thank you everybody, all those who are able to introduce themselves. If you can, like Thais mentioned, kindly introduce yourself in the chat. If you have any questions, any concerns, please put it in the chat and we'll address it as soon as possible. And as Thais rightly said, we are also going to provide you with data. You should have received an email from my colleague Johannika with the link to put in the application for the data, because we need to put down all administrative details. So we need you to sign up and we would hand over the data, or we would transfer it through your mobile money account. So you get the city equivalent of 10 euros per session, and we'll transfer that through your mobile money account. So if you have not filled the form, please do that as soon as possible, and you'll get it during the break. So for the inspirational session, we have Ms. Sunita Krave. She is the CEO and creative director of Basecamp. Basecamp is actually an eco-creative hub that is based here in Accra, and she has an enormous amounts of experience as a creative director and graphic designer for Ogilvy. She was also a design lab supervisor for Istituto Europeo di Design. I hope I mentioned it rightly. but she has been working hand in hand to build and boost the creative economy in Ghana. She was also a partner with Nubuke Foundation for the Ghana Must Go program that ran from 2018 and 2019. And Sunita, if you're here, you're really welcome. You would kindly introduce yourself further, and yeah, we look forward to your session.
Okay, great. All right.
And Sunita, you will share your screen, right? So
yes,
we do the switch.
Yes, definitely. So thank you for having me. So should I share with multiple participants?
You can share the screen and everybody sees it at once. Yeah.
Okay, yes. All right, that's what I'm trying to do. Can you see the screen now?
Not yet. I think it's still loading.
Okay.
No, we cannot see the screen now.
No.
Okay, just a sec. I think it's working now. It should pop up in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we see it.
Yes. Okay, great. All right. Okay. So just to give you a little rundown on my journey in terms of creativity, creative exposure, and also design. So I did study in Italy, design in Italy, in Milan, and then moved to France to work in France to understand the design industry and how it varied from one setting to another in Europe. And then I brought back my knowledge from the design and the creative industry back to Ghana to be able to sow a seed in the community down here. So currently, I was in the corporate advertising industry for a while. And just 2.5 years ago, I decided to branch out to set up my own business, which is Basecamp Initiative, whereby we provide facilities for freelancers, entrepreneurs, independent contractors, and we've set up the space in a very unusual, unconventional, creative way to facilitate an ecosystem that boosts creative thinking and also brings down well, basically allows you to think outside of the box. So today, the topic being design and the value of design. I would want to address what design is in terms of how we perceive it, but also what design means to me based on my experience. So first, I would say perception. Design is perception because, well, design is a finished product that in a journey that originated from one's perception, one's view of the topic at hand. So also one's view of the solution at hand, meaning usually a design brief or a design journey usually starts with a question, an insight, a topic to address, or a theme or a problem, So the finished product, which would be the output, which is the design itself, would be the solution for the solution based on the insights, the brief, and so on and so forth. Design is also a statement. Everything we put out as designers speaks to our background, our experience, the way we position ourselves as designers, because branding is, yes, for the clients, but there's also an aspect of branding for the individual and the designer himself, because your signature, every designer should have a signature, and the signature of a designer should be seen through his or her pieces. So that's what I mean by design is a statement. And design also communicates to a small audience or a wide audience. So is a statement based on the topic at hand. Design is also an expression of self. And in that sense, I would like to speak again to the fact that it's a journey, it's an individual or a team working together to achieve an end goal. And a typical example would be the way one individual would address a brief would be very different from the way another individual would address the same brief. So, and the outputs could be completely different with the same initial. So that justifies the claim of design being an expression for self. So those are the different aspects or the different areas where I would say how I would define design itself. I would like to speak to the different purposes for which design is used, which are the different areas that we address in our design studio. So for instance, at times we provide design pieces for communication purposes, which is to communicate maybe to communicate change or on an awareness level. At times we do provide design for branding purposes, which helps to position a brand on the market. At times we do provide design for advertising purposes, which would be to promote a service or a product. At times we do provide design for marketing purposes, and this is something that people often mix up, advertising being different from marketing. At times we do provide design for awareness purposes, purely for awareness, just possibly to lead to behavioral change or to sensitize a community. At times we do provide design for safety purposes in certain industries. Also design for culture, maybe to give reverence to a culture or heritage. Also design for change, which is one of the most powerful aspects of how to approach design and creativity. You could also touch on design for hope, to inspire the people, be it political, being for an agenda, be it religious. There's also design for fun, which is an aspect that we neglect a lot, because at times when we do put out a piece, it's usually a commission piece for a client. And I always encourage my team, in between all the briefs that come in, to channel something in-house that is purely for fun purposes, which allows you to develop a creative thinking skills, and that we can also put out there to show people that design is not only business, but it's also, expression of self. Now, okay, just a quick second. Okay, sorry. So just a few guidelines I would like to touch on when it comes to the approach with regards to designing efficiently, designing effectively as well. I would say, first off, we keep it simple. Less is more. One has to communicate a clear idea and a compelling strategy. For example, at times we do get very confused as to, in the brainstorming process, we want to include so many things at once in the same basket. And the best ideas out there that are actually award-winning ideas are usually the simplest ideas that one came up with. So simplicity is the way to go. And then the development of the strategy behind the simplicity of the idea could be layered with different options. As David Ogilvy said, big ideas are usually simple ideas. Keep it fresh. That's also very important. You may have lived through the work because you went through the journey of ideation to the output, but your audience hasn't necessarily lived through the work. They would be exposed to it in the end part of the journey, the design journey. So at times you need to put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, meaning your customer, being able to see it from a different point of view, also share the work with other people that would provide a different point of view from the art direction you were headed in. So look at the idea with a fresh pair of eyes and distill it for a new audience. Keep it relevant. Keeping it relevant is very important. It's all good having amazing ideas and thinking outside of the box, but it has to apply to a context, a target audience, a trend, or statistics. Keeping it original, novelty always wins, you know. I would say avoid repeating, avoid being a copycat, get inspired from what already exists on the market, but try to innovate in your industry or in the industry you're communicating to, being your target audience. Novelty always adds a little plus to the finished product. Build on an insight. So problem solving is usually the golden ticket. So usually at times when a client provides a brief, there isn't an insight attached to it. So this is the time where you would have to do your research and understand this is the context. This is the issue at hand. An insight could be a tension, so a problem that needs to be resolved. An insight could be a statistic. For example, the number of people that were complying with the COVID-19 protocols in a specific area of your country, for example. Those stats could lead to how you would address an awareness campaign for COVID-19, for example. So having an insight to start off with always helps the journey, the brainstorming journey. And don't forget the fun part. At times we do forget to include a little bit of humor. We forget to play around with the delivery of things. Once you have your strategy put together and you have your rationale, meaning the reason for which you're proposing these design variations, for example, in your execution, in your design piece, humor is a good factor you could add in order to sort of lighten the mood a bit and make it a bit more fun. I would also say go for it. At times we're a bit skeptical about how the audience would perceive your work or the messaging or what you're trying to communicate. At times we want to keep it a bit conventional. Other times the clients you're dealing with is not necessarily daring enough. But I would say a typical example would be the Just Do It line by Nike. Background research shows the evolution of how the brand Nike adopted that line, and it's quite an amazing story. Basically, just to give you a brief summary, at that time, there was an ongoing case whereby I think somebody was, there was an individual that was sentenced to death. And the individual's last words were, when they would ask if they had something to say, be it for repentance or so on and so forth, their last words were just do it. And the management of Nike decided to adopt this line because they wanted something very daring that would penetrate during that era and would just dull the clutter on the market, you know. And for them to adopt such a line that was all over the media gave some level of positioning to the brand. So going for it is scary at times, but it's the way to go if you want to elevate the standard, if you want to be able to create pieces that are actually cut through the clutter. All right, so we'll navigate into a different space slightly, still on the topic of design, but I would want to address creative thinking. Creative thinking being an aspect of the design journey. So creative thinking is looking at things differently, thinking outside of the box, having a new perspective, and having a new problem-solving approach. Now, the process which one needs to go through in order to approach creative thinking or to develop creative thinking skills is initially, I would say, always have a portfolio, always put out a portfolio on an online platform that you can share with the client to ascertain your credibility. So once you do get a brief or you do get a project that you need to work on or commission, ascertain your credibility with your portfolio. The next step is to prepare a quote to include the terms and conditions to make sure your clients and you are on the same page, so there are no issues in the background or there are no surprises as you're going through the development process. Develop a brief. At times, a client will come to you, I want a logo, I want a billboard, I want a poster, I want to put together an ad, a commercial ad on TV, a radio ad, but the client doesn't actually have a brief to go along with it. Developing a brief from your end will create some level of clarity for how you would address this creative thinking journey, but it will also, you would provide this brief to the client and will also make sure that the client also understands the process you're going through. Having a brainstorming culture. The mistake most of us make is that we dive directly into the topic at hand and we do not take the time to actually dig deeper. So having a brainstorming culture could involve different things. People get inspired from so many things, from music, from their environment, from having a chat with someone else, bouncing off ideas. For example, coloring for adults. I know that's also a brainstorming culture, which allows you to de-stress, but also bring out your inner creative self. A good example that we often undermine is mind mapping, starting from one theme and fleshing it out completely to develop a journey for creativity. And once you have that brainstorming culture, apply every time you are addressing a brief, and then flesh out the idea. Don't stay, yes, I have an idea, but flesh it out, different pillars, different approaches to the idea itself, so the client can also see that you've addressed all the different angles. Then test the idea, that's very important. Your perception of a theme or a topic might not be the same perception your audience would have, or even colleagues you're working with. So testing the idea on grounds will give you results that would also help you maybe rechannel and repackage the idea. Then present it to the client. Presentation is very important. At times when you email a deck or a presentation, some things might be misinterpreted, sorry. Some things might be lost in interpretation. So being able to present verbally to the client physically also allows you to articulate the ideas better and to actually sell your concept to the client. So delivering qualitative work to set the bar. There's one thing I always do, and I always tell my team, is that never hand over work to me that you wouldn't be proud to put in your own portfolio. Once you make that your motto, once you make that a must, you would always rework the piece so you get to a result that you feel is decent enough to promote yourself, to put in your portfolio, but also to send it to the client. And the last piece of the journey is to deliver ahead of time. That's also very important. If you want to create client loyalty, you want to be able to get repeat projects, repeat contracts. If you do, normally, initially, you would agree on a timeline with the client, but delivering ahead of time allows you to, again, ascertain your credibility, but also retain the client and make sure that you do get new business from the client. So in quotes, every designer should have a brainstorming culture, should have a stock image database, because you don't always have the opportunity to go on site and shoot to have content. So you need to know where to go online to get free stock images or also paid stock images. You do need a design reference database as well for inspiration purposes, such as Behance and Pinterest. There's really interesting content out there. you do need to you need to train your creative thinking skills, you know, your approach, your analytical approach to every concept and every brief. And you also need to have a problem solving approach. Most projects that are actually solving problems, contextual problems, are usually the ones that do very well. So last but not least, the Designer's Bible, put together by me. You're welcome to take notes as well. Initially, I would say always question the brief, be it a brief that was provided by the client or a brief you developed. Go beyond what is on the page. Don't always stick to the first concept you get. Go deeper and try to approach the concept from different angles. Keep it simple, less is more, clear ideas, compelling strategy, keep it fresh, bringing in a fresh perspective, keep it relevant. So always make sure it addresses a context, a target audience, trends, and statistics. Keep it original with a hint of novelty, build on an insight so that you can have, there's a backbone to the project and the concept. And don't forget to add the fun part, but be daring and go for it. So I would like to leave you with this. Cutting through the clutter requires nothing less than dedication, stamina, and guts. Dedication to the cause, stamina because being a designer is not an easy journey, and guts because it takes a lot of, it takes being bold to be able to cut through the clutter, but also be able to put out pieces that you're actually proud of, that are gonna get the recognition they deserve, and that could possibly win an award. All right, I'm open for questions. I hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you so much, Sunita. That was a very inspirational and very insightful one that you have given us. Dedication, stamina, and guts. You shouldn't forget that. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat or raise your hand. You will see, okay, I see Prince already raised his hand. Yeah, so Prince, unmute yourself and please speak.
Hi, so thank you for your presentation. My question is, you were saying we should go deeper when we have a brief or something, but sometimes, you know, time limits you, the client is giving you a lot of pressure and stuff. So how do you manage your time as to the brief?
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, that's a good question. I do encounter a lot of designers that have time management issues in terms of delivery, in terms of the brainstorming process. When do I actually start crafting, and when is it the right time to submit to clients? You should know your pace. You know, initially when you're starting, it's difficult to understand your pace. Every designer has a number of creatives or executions they can put out in a specific timeline. And as you grow as a designer, that timeline extends or shrinks. I would give you an example. Last year I recruited a designer for our design studio that would put out we started working on a retainer project, and the requirement was to put out 30 executions in a month, which would mean an execution a day. At times it would be 30 to 50 executions in a month. And so that designer of mine would take roughly, and I'm talking about executions such as e-flyers, you know, flyers you would put out on social media or you'd broadcast on WhatsApp or email lists. And that designer of mine would roughly take 3 days to put out one execution, okay? That's including research for the image to use, crafting and finishing and so on and so forth. I would take, in a day, I can put out 2 executions as of what we're talking about, the e-flyers. So my pace is completely different from that designer's pace. That's what I mean by you should know your pace and you work accordingly. When you want to dig deeper, digging deeper involves the brainstorming culture. So that means taking mind mapping, for example. Yes, okay, so I'll give you a typical example. Say we want to talk about the climate, you know, and we want to talk about climate change. We want to get people and we want to connect. So maybe that's the topic. And your first approach would be to talk to, maybe to speak to recycling, for example. And that's the most obvious route to take, you know. But digging deeper means, yes, this is the obvious route. But once I mind map, yes, I put recycling as the main topic and I flesh it out and I start thinking about other themes that come as I think about recycling. You would see that your initial journey from recycling would move completely and shift to a completely different topic, which maybe could end up in subliminal design. So the subliminal design would mean you're still addressing the theme at hand, but the piece you put together has an abstract feel to it, and you're still solving the problem, you know. So the journey would help you to dig deeper and be able to tell the client, okay, these are 3 different routes to which we can speak to climate change. And the client can choose between those 3 different routes. Okay, I would like you to execute the brief with route 1 or route 2 or route 3. So say it takes you a week to put together the piece, you would need to do that brainstorming culture part of it all in the beginning stages so that you have enough time to actually craft and execute. So it really depends from one person to another. I can't give you a specific timeline, but you need to know your pace and you need to make room for all the different stages of the creative journey. I hope I answered your question.
We are actually running a bit out of time. Natasha, kindly unmute yourself and speak very quickly in 30 seconds.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted you to quickly touch on this difference between the advertising and marketing. Is it that one is a subset of the other or there's something more to it?
Okay, let me just move back quickly to that slide. Okay, so advertising, okay, so marketing, let me take marketing first. Marketing would be, you can advertise a product or a service, and you can market a product or a service. Okay, so that's relevant to both. Marketing would be advertising would be to promote it and put it out there, okay? So that people, is to create some level of awareness. Yes, I have this product. I want to advertise. I want to do an advertising campaign so people actually know that the product is out there, okay? Advertising is usually for awareness purposes. I would say marketing is more geared, it goes a step further and is more geared towards sales. With the approach of marketing, you're marketing a product, for example, to be able to have a certain number of goods sold in a specific period. So for marketing purposes, usually you're dealing with timelines, you're dealing with a more specific target audience, and the approach to marketing the product or the service would be completely different from when you're just advertising it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we do have 4 questions, but I'm going to quickly put 2 and 2 together so you can answer them really quickly. So how do you handle client objections and how simple is keeping it simple?
Okay. So did they mean objections to a proposed design?
I think so, because then the objection is coming from the client. So maybe you propose something to a client and they say no.
Okay. So initially, anything you deliver, you should have a basis for your delivery or for your proposed design or for the journey you take. So anything you deliver, you should have a rationale for it. A rationale is an explanation of why you are addressing the theme in this specific manner. So when you deliver and then you add a rationale to it, the client will come back and say, okay, I do not like this, or I don't want this like this, or I prefer A, B, C, D, or so on. So that's an objection. With that, you can either come back and try to justify your choices, still pushing for production of the idea you put out, or you could provide an alternative, okay? Even every time you provide an execution, don't make sure it's not just one execution, have options so that the clients can also choose from them and have a backing for them.
Okay.
Joanna,
And sorry, Thais or Irene?
Yes.
Hello. Okay.
So should I share my screen now? Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, we have so many questions, but we will send them to you, Sunita, so that you can get in touch with the participants on your answers on that. And also for all the participants, part of this training, one of the benefits of this training is you get to have the inspirational speakers directly. So Sunita, if you can please share your contact, or we will also do that with the participants. And please feel free to network, send her a hi on LinkedIn, follow her on Behance, Pinterest, and you can get to ask her all the questions that you want. Thank you so much for the inspirational session, and we hope to have you again in the course of the training or in the course of the full program at some point. Thank you, Sunita.
And just to add, Joanna, that we also have the Slack channel that all the participants are in. So Sunita will also be part there, so we can also have more questions that can be shared there and she can answer.
Great, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Great. So thank you, everyone. And we are getting into the other parts of the training. It's exactly 10 o'clock, I believe, my time. And we have Dr. Julia Calabretta. I hope I have the pronunciation on point. I hope so. So good to know. So Julia was born and raised in Italy. But she currently lectures as a professor at TU Delft in the Netherlands. So for those of you who would be consistent and hardworking enough and be selected for the exchange program, you will probably get to see where she works at TU Delft in the Netherlands. And she has actually been studying in various places, including Barcelona, Norway, and she specializes in design management. She is the course coordinator for the strategic value of design and also a coach for the strategic product innovation. So can we do a virtual clap for Julia as she comes on to give the webinar session?
I'm gonna share my screen, right? So
yes.
Yes, so let me put it on. Put it on presentation. Can you see it?
Not yet. I see some people still raising their hands. We are currently in the webinar session, so please put all your questions, comments in the chat and we will address it. Thank you.
Do you see anything?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, I'll try again. Share.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
Great. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the virtual clap, and thank you, Joanna, for the introduction. Super excited to have the chance to talk to this audience and share a bit of my knowledge on the value of design. A little bit of background information. It was already given to you from Joanna. Yeah, I'm Italian, and yeah, what was not said before is that I have a management background, so I'm not a designer by training. But over the years, I really developed a passion, a trust, and yeah, a deep empathy with the way in which designers do innovation. So I'm one of the persons that maybe you're trying to convince about the value of design, one of your potential client, and your strategies, your way of working really resonated with me. And I was convinced by the value that you can add. So that's why now I'm becoming an ambassador of designers, and I'm happy to help designers understanding how they can communicate the value that they add in a better way. And well, I call myself an ambassador of strategic design because specifically I look at how design can add value to businesses, to the way in which companies or also public organizations do their innovation. So I specialize in the area of strategic design, but generally I like to talk and pitch about the value of design in general. And I love to be part of this boosting design program, because actually this is, I was involved in a similar program in the Netherlands when I started my career in design. So in design. So I moved to the Netherlands more or less, well, 10 years ago. And at that time, the Netherlands set up this CRISP program, which is a creative industry scientific program, which had the idea, the goal of helping the creative industry, and particularly the design, to increase their scope of their influence. So probably 10 years ago in the Netherlands, the design industry was at the same point that it is now in Ghana. And designers were starting to feel that need of doing something more than just translating a given brief into an outcome, a product or a service. So there was this energy of, we want to do more, we want to learn to convince our clients that we are capable of doing more things. And that was especially emphasized by the fact that product service system design was coming up. So designers very rarely would design in the Netherlands just a product. So take the Nike Plus example, they rarely would design just a pair of shoes. Generally, there would always be some digital, some service to be designed around that. So that meant that designers need to deal with the more complex situation, need to coordinate across different outcomes, and need perhaps to have more influence also on how companies decide which new product services or services or products they need to develop. So there was this movement in the Netherlands, and what I was asked to do there is, okay, come here and try to look at best practices of companies that of designers and design agencies or design-driven companies that are good in using design in this broader way, and try to figure out what are their best practices and help us disseminating this knowledge. And that's what I did. I collaborated with a list of companies that you can see in these slides. And together with my research team, we wrote a book about what are the key capabilities that designers can use once their role becomes broader and more strategic. So I'm now busy with disseminating this kind of knowledge, and that's also why I'm here. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a glimpse on how this design boost happened in the Netherlands, and the learnings from that on how to communicate this broader value of your work to a client. And the change that happens to make it a little bit more concrete is, and it's probably your experiences, is summarized in this slide. Traditionally, the role of design would be only in the execution of the brief. So you would receive a brief with a request for a product, a piece of advertising, a piece of interior design work, whatever it is, and your job would be what is in the small gray triangle in pyramid in this slide. So you would just do that. But slowly, designers, you sort of became more strategic, or woke up and start asking yourself questions like, okay, but why do I have to work on this particular product? Does it make sense from the perspective of the user? Does it fit with what user wants? So perhaps me as a designer, can I have a say on what is the next product that needs to be done? I don't want just to execute it. I just want to help the companies also thinking about what should be the next product. And then when you think about the next product, perhaps you start thinking, okay, this next product should be aligned with the user needs, but should be aligned also with the brand of the company. And then what happens there is, okay, let's wait a minute, this company really doesn't have a clear brand. They don't have a clear brand values, but I really need them for my design. So as a designer, you will start saying, okay, can I be involved also in branding decisions? And that's how the scope of your impact moved from just the final design into having an influence on concept development, on the strategy of companies in terms of branding, for instance, or future vision, and even in the reason why an enterprise should exist. So really the mission, the core goals of a company. So that's what happened. This mainly happened because, and that's probably what's happening also in Ghana. And one of the reasons why this can happen is actually grounded in what, for me, design is. And for me, design is not just the final outcome. So it's not just an object that you create. For me, design, the real power of design is in the design process. So I align a bit with what Sanita was saying, the design is a journey. I think this journey is the most valuable part of design. It's a problem-solving journey that can be applied to different problems rather than just designing an outcome, designing and delivering an outcome. So if you take this problem-solving approach, this journey, if you abstract it, you can actually use this same approach to solve so many challenges that the scope of design can actually be almost infinite. And this is also a bit of a returning to the original roots of design. And this is just the only very strictly academic quote that you will see. Actually, Herbert Simon is one of the first researchers and thought leaders in trying to put down what design could do. And what he said is that design is the core of design is not a design per se, but it's a course of action. So it's the core of design is a process that can be used to change any existing situations into preferred one. So he already had this idea of the fact that design as a process, as a problem-solving process, could be applied to a broader range of problems rather than just the execution of a brief. And indeed, this particular journey, the design process is grounded on some key values of designers, some distinctive values, elements of your mindset that make this particular approach to problem solving very useful and very contemporary given certain trends that are happening around us. So there are certain trends to which design can be applied very well, and it explains why the role of design in the Netherlands, but also in Western countries, but also in emerging countries, is broadening so much. First core value of your mindset that helps making this design process suitable for many other things is that you're strongly human-centered. So you always put the insight of the user at the core of your work and build your solutions around that. And that's particularly useful today when all companies are trying to focus themselves on delivering exceptional and seamless experiences to their users. So all the companies want to get closer to the users. They want to offer unique experiences. With your human-centeredness mindset, you can really find the essence of what that experience should be and help companies in executing that. Another key value, another key element of your mindset that is particularly relevant today is your future orientation. So as designers, you always like to think ahead and look at the latest trends and look at how things could be in 10 years from now. So you have a great imagination and a great future-oriented imagination. And that is a great skill nowadays that digital technologies are disrupting our world and are forcing companies to rethink the future of their industries. So take the travel, the banking industries. All these industries are really disrupted by technologies like AI, blockchain, virtual reality, and the like. And companies need to imagine what the implications of all this would be for the company and for the life of people. Well, you are great in that, so that's why your problem-solving approach could be relevant to companies trying to look into the future. Third element of your mindset that makes design really useful in different contexts is the fact it's the experimentation part of your way of working. You always want to try things out, so you, as quick as possible, get to prototypes and to visualizations or materializations of your ideas. That's really helpful nowadays when all the disruptive technologies that I was mentioning before needs to be embedded into real products or services. You can really help companies in imagining what this is, for instance, an example of a chatbot for psychological health, for addressing psychological, for helping people dealing with psychological disease. And the role of design is extremely helpful here in helping the company to think what could be good ways of embedding AI into this particular industry. And so what the designers did here is a set of paper prototype, then digital prototypes, several iterations on finding the best solution for this for the embedding of these digital technologies in this particular industry. And fourth element of your mindset that makes you very valuable to address any kind of problems is your holistic thinking. As designers, you are very good at looking at the perspective of different stakeholders together. So you very much focus on the user, but you are always also concerned about stakeholders like, well, the public, the citizens, the public sectors, the governments, other people, other stakeholders in the company. So you tend to take this holistic perspective that nowadays is really essential to address the wicked challenges that we need to face. So there is great potential in the design journey, in the design problem-solving approach. Designers are not always great in communicating these values. So, and that's probably also why we are here doing this training and why we still do a lot of these kind of trainings in Europe and in the Netherlands, because still there are so many challenges around communicating the value of design. People don't have a shared understanding of design. So different stakeholders understand design in different ways. I'm sure there's already different understanding of design among us. But companies still look at design as just making things pretty, but it's much more than that. And many, especially business people, not necessarily trust designers in being able to do more things than just making things beauty. So they basically think that as designers, you're just creative, maybe crazy people, but you're not gonna be able to generate business value out of your work. And at the same time, you as designers need to learn a bit how to communicate your value to these stakeholders. You probably need to learn a bit to speak a different language, so a business language, and you need a sharper way of communicating your value. So the challenge to bring these two parts together, you designers and all these problem holders to which your problem-solving approach could be really useful to make this perfect match. There is a lot of work to do. There is some work to do in communicating your value, and that's what I want to dig a little bit better in the rest of the presentation this morning and a bit also in the workshop in the afternoon, and look at certain things that you need to take into account, that you need to know, some certain starting points to start to learn how to communicate your value better. And what I'm going to do now is briefly introduce these 3 ways in which you can do that and illustrate them with a lot of examples, mainly from design agencies or design companies located well in the Netherlands, which I think it will be a great inspiration for you to then go and look at their website and see how they do their communication. And in my view, you need to know, in order to be prepared to craft a good message of your value, you need to know 3 things. You need to know where within the way in which a company or an organization operates, you add value. So you need to know the scope of design and be very sharp in defining it. You need to know what are your key capabilities. So you need to learn how to formalize, how to name, how to label those capabilities of yours in a sharp way. And you need to have some sort of knowledge on how design adds value in terms of key performance indicators, in terms of performance metrics that are relevant to a business. We're going to look into these 3 things right now. So let's start to some consideration on where design adds value, on the scope of design, because it is important for you to be able to know that my work is in this part of the activities of a potential company, of a client. And what we normally like to do, what we think at my faculty at Delft University of Technology is that the scope of designing is mainly the innovation strategy of a company. So you can relate your work, I would say 90% of the work that you do, to the building blocks of the innovation strategy of a company. So a company that wants to innovate needs to nail down 4 things. They need to have a vision of where they want to go with their innovation. So they need to set a point in the horizon. They then need a plan to get there. So they need to come up with a strategic plan of the different steps, perhaps the different products or services, the different changes that they will do in their business in order to get there. They need to think about the key resources and capabilities. So the type of technologies, the type of assets, the type of people that they need to hire in order, the type of expertise areas of people that they need to hire in order to get there. And then they need to put in place certain processes that allow them to translate their strategy into practice. So let me just show this with an example. Amazon is being recognized as in these rankings about the innovators of the years. It's always occupying the very high, very frequently in the top 10. And what they do particularly good is that they have these 4 strategy blocks very well nailed down. So they have a clear vision. They want to be the most customer-centric company on earth, and where customers can basically buy anything that they want online. Then they have a strategy for that. Their strategy is based on keeping doing everything to keep their prices low, to have the best available selection and offer convenience. So be very fast and convenient in how they deliver stuff. And they have a yearly plan of how they're on which part, so a great roadmap of how they will reach that every year. Then they have a great infrastructure. They have, decided to own their warehouses, so they decided that's a key asset to achieve their strategy. They do a lot of proprietary, so they own a lot of software innovation that they use. And they are hunting for the best talents in data analysis, in AI, in design, in human-centeredness. So they have the best expertise that you need for that. And they also have great processes. For instance, they work based on Six Sigma approach to operations. They have a data-driven way of taking decisions, and they are also quite human-centered. So they have the 4 blocks of the innovation strategy well put down. So, and the point that I want to make with that is that potentially design can be used in all these blocks. So design can play a role, and you can explain your role by looking at any of these blocks of the innovation strategy, of the innovation strategy. So for you who are trying to define the scope of your work, you can use this scheme to explain to a client exactly where you want to add value, where you can add value. And for instance, you can help company making visions. So, and one of the examples that a company that is really, a design agency that is really specialized in that is Reframing Studio. What they offer to companies is the possibility of reframing their view on their industry that they are working on, taking this future-oriented look. So this agency is very good in defining their scope in the vision block of the innovation strategy. So they pitch in that way. We're going to help you with the vision. Some other companies are very good. Some other design agents in the design consultancies are very good, position themselves in the role that they can play in planning the strategy for innovation. I believe many of you, well, I hope you have followed how IBM as a company has evolved. IBM has really transformed from a software and hardware company into a design-driven company that also offers design consultancy services to clients. And what they specifically help clients with is to transform themselves from a non-digital into a digital company, from a non-customer center into a customer center company. And they do that through design thinking, by teaching companies how to transform by means of design. So they position themselves, they pitch themselves as a design agency that help companies with planning their strategy for innovation. Then there are companies that the design agencies that see their value, see their scope in offering resources and capabilities for innovation to other companies. An example here is Standby. This is a design research for service innovation agency here in the Netherlands. And what they offer to company is a very specific expertise, which is making user-centered research. So their positioning is in providing companies with relevant capabilities for doing innovation. And then there are obviously companies and design agencies that position themselves in helping companies developing processes for innovation. So once you have a great vision and a great direction, you need to have a setup, you need to have a set of activities that helps you bring in that innovation to market. And this is, for instance, well, this is actually the work that we do at the faculty when we support companies in becoming more innovative. So what that's the innovation process that we created for KLM, the Dutch airlines, to bring their more radical ideas, especially with a digital touch, into practice. So what we help them with, and what we told them that we would help them with through design, is to come up with a good innovation process for them to execute innovation in a design-driven way. So this is an overview of how you can describe yourself in terms of the scope of your work. Then another way in which, another thing that you need to know very well is, okay, I'm gonna offer you something in a domain of creating your vision, but what is exactly the capability that myself as designer can add? So what is it that I'm bringing that is different from what other designers or other professionals, other perhaps people with a business background or people with a psychology or anthropology background can bring? So the other part of the puzzle is to be aware about where you, what kind of value you add, what kind of capabilities you bring to the table. And I've been working in my work for the CRISP project that I mentioned at the beginning. I actually formalized 8 key capabilities that you as designers bring to the table when you do a project. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you'll get the slides and you're already having a sneak peek on what all of those are. But let me just go look at a few of them in more details. The first one was already a bit mentioned when I was talking about the scope of design, what you bring to a project where a vision needs to be designed. What is your uniqueness is that you're really capable of envisioning in a future-oriented manner. So compared to other professionals working in vision and creating visions that maybe are very much data-driven, you bring this future-oriented, very imaginative way of looking into the future. So what studio reframing brings to the table is exactly this ability of looking into the future in a human-centered and creative manner. You are very capable of orchestrating. So another capability that you generally bring into the table is orchestrating. So you are capable of, when in a project, in a complex project, many stakeholders with different perspectives, with different interests, with different goals are involved, you're very good in bringing these people together through, for instance, co-creation. And that's why a good example for me is actually Butterfly Works. So they position themselves as expert in co-creating in social change. So they really stress the capability of designers of bringing people with different perspectives together. Another great capability that you have is to translate different languages into something that everyone understands. And this translating capability is what you generally do with your visualizing, with your ability of visualizing things. And the example comes from Ink Strategy, which is a strategic visualization agency. What they do is they run workshops where they help companies discussing about their vision, their strategy, and they put that into a big visual, into a language that it summarizes the perspective of everyone into a visual language that is easy to understand and resonates with everyone. So in this case, the capability that this design agency pitches and builds its name on is the translating one. And another one could be inspiring, and you're really good to thinking about the box and out of the box, sorry, and for instance showing a bit sometimes in a crazy way how things could look for a company if you take it from a completely different perspective. So Idea Couture is a company that it is a design agency that does that and try to help companies imagining how if you bring new digital technologies in their business, how things could look like. And yeah, for instance, what would be the implication of robotics for a telco company? So these are just few examples of capabilities that you can position yourself based on. The message here is find your core capabilities, describe them sharply, and make sure that you communicate those correctly. And then there's one last step that you need to be aware of, because that's very useful when you want to convince clients that are not used to work with designers in a broader range of topics of assignments, which is where design adds quantifiable monetary value. Where does actually design generate business? Does design generate any kind of value for companies? And here there are quite a few schemes that you can look at. This is more a general study, one of the first that really helped design to show to business that they add value. That's the design the design value index from the Design Management Institute. And what they looked at companies in the US stock exchange that were design driven, so that they would have design as a function within a company, that they would have design, that would use design in in many projects in their business units, that they would have perhaps a chief design officer, that they would leverage design driven research in all the projects. So they looked at how at these companies that were really good in integrating design all over the place in the company. And what they found is that those companies, which is the orange line in the graph, would have a stock value of 211% higher than companies that don't do. So that's already an argument to, that's already a study that shows that indeed doing design brings value to companies. And there are many others that you could look at. And I'll probably send you some papers some reports that you could look at. An interesting one is the one published a couple of years ago from InVision. And what they found is that design mainly adds value in 4 domains. It improves the quality of products, so the functionality and the customer satisfaction with that. It improves, if you use a design approach, you make things more efficient within a project. You are faster to the market, you make less mistakes. Design increased business profitability. So when you use design, you're probably coming with out-of-the-box solutions, or with solutions that better balance functionality and an emotional connection with the user. So you come up with products that, or services that can be premium, that can be priced and put at a price level that is a bit higher. And yeah, for similar reasons, when you use design, you're able to improve the brand. You are able to create a better brand effect through your design. So you make brand stronger. So you make brand communicating more effectively and more consistently. So there's a lot of gains in brand equity, for instance. And that's, I'm gonna not go to another scheme because it's very similar to this one, but that's what I wanted to share about important things that you need to know when it comes to communicating the value of design. You need to think about your scope. So where in the activities of a company you have an impact. You need to think about your core capabilities. So what is that uniqueness that you bring to the table and how do I express it? And then you need to think about how you add value. So what are the business indicators, the value indicators of the company that you can help with? And that's what I wanted to share for now. We will apply a bit of this in the late morning. For now, maybe there's time for a couple of questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Julia. That was a very insightful session. One of the participants, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. There's an icon, just raise your hand so you unmute yourself and you speak. Or you can also type your questions in the chat and I will read it out for Julia to answer that. We already have one. He's asking the Design Value Index, which institutions conduct this and how can we do that for companies in Ghana or Africa, especially the indigenous ones?
So the Design Value Index is a study that is run in by it's an American it's the Design Management Institute. Is an American institution that well, it also looking at European companies that mainly focused on Western countries, so on how design happens in Western countries. And they were also very much active in promoting the broader use of design in the States when they started as a design institution. So they were able to work on these projects because they created, they contributed to create a sufficient mass of company that would be stronger in design, so that they could actually measure this effect of design on the value of the companies. So that model, it's not directly transferable to countries where design is still emerging, but I guess something like the Ghana Design Network, so what Joanna is doing, is working on, so or the type of institution that she's or think tank that you're working for, is a type of institution that could promote such kind of studies in Ghana by observing how designers that broaden their scope actually improve, help companies reaching their objectives. And it doesn't have to be directly a quantitative study. I know that's definitely more effective, but it can be started, and that's how this institution started, with just success stories, very powerful best practices of design adding value to companies, showcasing them, and then creating a snowball effect so that more companies want to do, and then you can come up with something like the design management industry index.
Great. Thank you so much, Julia. Huda is asking, how do you handle working in an industry where people consistently undervalue design and are not willing to pay the maximum for design works?
Yeah, that's a great question, and sort of the challenge that the Dutch design industry was facing approximately 10 years ago. I think you build a lot on the current clients that you have. So you really try to cherish the clients that you currently have, and try to see whether you can first convince them to do more. So you try to outperform what Sanita was saying about outperforming, delivering before, going beyond expectations with your current clients is the best way to start convincing them that you can do more and that your work is worthy. So you have to start from your current client base and see how you can outperform there. So then I also like what Sanita said about having guts. So really growing as designers requires a lot. I call it fearless leadership. So you have to be fearless. You have to go into this confrontation where you explain that, oh, well, you're getting it wrong. Design is not just beautifying, it's much more than that. So you really need to cultivate that and be persistent in that. You can put yourself out there and become a thought leader in what design can do. So you need to talk about this in every circle around you. You need to perhaps write blogs, come up with initiatives that make noise. So you need to show that, show your value in different ways. So I guess I would say build on your current client base and be entrepreneurial there, and see who among them is maybe there's just one of your contacts that is open-minded. That can start increasing. That's a great starting point. And then be fearless. Use your gut.
Great. Natasha, kindly unmute yourself and speak, please. We have just 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So please,
Okay,
30 seconds questions, and Julia will answer in the rest of. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So I have seen some of these innovative processes that you have to go through to be able to come up with your design process and such. For example, the Six Sigma. But sometimes it's difficult to really understand how to translate it practically into your everyday life. So I don't know, how do you sort of go about trying to figure out the best innovative process for yourself?
Can you say the last? I didn't understand the last sentence. If you can just repeat.
How do you go about trying to figure out the best innovative process for yourself?
Yeah, for
example.
yourself as a designer, you mean? So what works for you? Yeah. Yeah, it is about, so it's not an easy process. It takes time, and well, it takes a lot of self-reflection on what works, what worked best in terms of, so focus on what works best in delivering results to clients, but also in what makes you feel better. So it's a combination of what works and what makes you feel better. Start from existing processes, so you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of design processes out there that successful design agencies or successful designers do. So start from reviewing some of those and see what fits you better and try to adapt. But also don't be over obsessed on having your specific process, because yeah, you will always need to adapt. The value of the designer is also in improvising, so in changing things a bit. So don't get over obsessed that if you don't have a standard project, or you're not doing your work well. But use examples out there, use the feedback of clients and your own reflection to find a sort of scheme that can work for you.
Yeah, Julia, so one last question from Wolanam Sika. She's asking, what is the best way to position oneself if you have more than one of the 8 design capabilities? So just
yeah, it's a quick answer. You can, I think, I would say what when I do this exercise with students or professionals at the faculty, we always say that you can go up to 3. So you don't need to focus on just one because it's very difficult, but you need to really be able to name a few in a very precise way. So if you have more than one, if you have 3, that's for me would be ideal. The issue is try to describe them neatly and sharply. So you can have more than one.
Nice. Great. Thank you so much, Julia. Unfortunately, this is the only number of questions that time will allow us to have, but you can still put down your questions also in the Slack, and we would, I mean, Julia, Sunita, earlier, who spoke earlier, they would have answers for you. We have a few comments from Peter, but we are currently going into a quick break of 10 minutes, but we do have a case presentation from Jesse. But I just want to read a few of the comments. McKinsey Management, so from Peter Keston, he's saying McKinsey Management Consultants became involved in the value of design and published research of that, as well as British Design Effective Award Scheme, which is run by the Design Business Association, as well as the TU Delft. TU Delft also had some interesting surveys about the positive business effect. So Peter is saying that he can also share all these reports with us later, and you can have access to it. Huda, unfortunately, we cannot answer your question now, but we will forward it to Julia and she would answer it as soon as possible. So just a quick introduction of Jesse. Jesse is going to give us a case presentation, but just as a quick presentation, introduction, sorry. Jesse van Os, from what I know, Jesse from Os, studied industrial design engineering at Delft University of Technology. In 2003, she graduated and since then has worked as a designer in different companies and as a lecturer in design thinking, creative thinking, and user experience design. In 2019, she founded KO Curious Design together with Crystal Kestens. KO is a research and design agency that focuses on design, research, and social design. So we are currently going to move in 10 minutes break, but Jesse is going to have a quick presentation for us. So kindly grab a cup of coffee, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you can join Jesse's presentation in about 2 minutes. Please do that. And Jesse, can you hear me? Are you?
I can. Yeah? Can you hear me as well?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I will already test sharing the screen, Irene.
Yeah, because, sorry, just to interrupt, because we're a bit tight on time, what we're doing is, I think we can start directly with Jesse's presentation. Maybe in 1 minute we start. So if people want to have a coffee, please go ahead and quickly have it. And we'll start with Jesse's presentation. And if you guys feel that you need a longer break, you're just welcome to take a longer break and just to rejoin when you're ready. But yeah, we will not take a long break because we're a bit short on time. But indeed, you can just go and come.
Yeah, so just to be clear that during the break, then Jesse is presenting, right? So if people can get a coffee, come back. But if you need a longer break, you can take. Right? You didn't?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
But longer doesn't go beyond 5 minutes, please. Or 10, yeah.
Yeah, so let me know when I can start talking.
Yeah, I think you can.
Whenever, okay.
Yeah, you can start and then.
Yeah. So thank you for the introduction, Joanna. I think introduced me. Yeah, so my name is Jessie van Os, as we say in Dutch, and indeed I'm from Co. In Dutch we say nieuwsgierige interactie, but I understand it's a tongue breaker, so I translated for today in English to curious design. Nieuwsgierigheid is curiosity in Dutch, and Co stands for, well, the O is from my last name, Os, and my partner, my co-entrepreneur is Christel Kerstens, and she's the K in Co. And we like the word co because it also means doing things together, written with a C, obviously. But so co-creation, etc., is a nice match with our company name. I think what is interesting to know is that indeed I graduated at your faculty, Julia, a while ago already in 2003, and indeed since then I worked as a designer in different companies, and only from 2019 on I started Co-Curious Design, and I was very interested in hearing Julia's presentation because well, this selling the value of design is actually also something that we are still exploring as a starting company. So although I have experience for more than 15 years being a designer, this is actually the first time to do it as an entrepreneur and really having to sell the value in a different way than I did before as an employer. So today I want to start with my statement about what design is. I already heard it in the previous presentation as well. So people have different definitions of design. And to me, design is not so much designing a predefined solution for a predefined problem. So it's not so much about designing either a tangible product or a website or an app or even a service, but it's really working together to create value for humans. I will explain more about that, but I would also, I'm sorry, I would also like to say a little bit more about myself. I'm a human as well. I'm not only the designer and the entrepreneur that I am. So this is everything that I am. And I would like to state that I am all of these in random order. So I love my work and I can get completely lost in it, but I can also put everything aside and step on my bike or take my running shoes and clear my head. I can be very active when I do sports or work, but I can also be very lazy and get on the couch with a nice drink and watch a movie. I can very much read a book, enjoy reading a book myself and get lost in a story. I also love to read stories to my youngest one, my girl, and she's just discovering how to read herself, which is amazing to see that happening. I love to go on holidays with my camper van, discover new things. I love to analyze everything that happens around me. I would say, an analytical, creative, and especially when it comes to human behavior, I really love to dive into why do people what they do. And but most of all, and that's also what is in our company name, I am very curious, and I strive to be curious in everything that I do. That's also why I put this slide in my presentation. We as people, as kids, we are curious by nature. So on the left, you see me as a, well, I think 2-year-old girl in my backyard, being very curious about this grass that I just took out of the ground. And I strive to keep that curiosity as a, well, as something, I really try to cherish it, because I think it's one of the basic characteristics that we as designers really need to cherish. And it can be hard sometimes to keep being curious because there's so much going on. And for me, I've put like a collage of pictures of who I am here, also to show that I think in the diversity that we are as people, we can cherish that curiosity. So try to be diverse as a person, to see possibilities in everything, and that will help us to keep being curious. Going back to the statement, so design is creating value for people. When I started my design education in the previous century, industrial design engineering was still very much focused on product design, and I started that studies because I wanted to make products that people knew how to use. So it was really about designing good products that that were user friendly. So buttons were on the right place. They were designed with measurements that would fit the humans. But for me, the vision on design really changed to design is not so much designing this predefined solution, but it's more about looking for the needs that we need to design a solution for, and then only then start thinking about what would be the best solution to create, to appeal to these needs. And well, the word design thinking has come to the table earlier, and I think that our added value as designers is now, or at least mine, to use design thinking. So this combination of analytical and creative thinking to break down design challenges, to find out what they really mean for the people that well, are part of the context that this challenge is in, and to co-create solutions for that, because only then we can really create value. And knowing this, one of the challenges we, especially as a beginning company, face is we don't sell a product, right? We sell more like a process. That's what we at least say. So how do we sell our services if the outcome is unknown? Or in other words, how do we sell trust? Because that is actually what we experience. So I put this picture in this slide because I would like to see this picture as I'm sure Julia recognizes this this picture. I think I even picked it from the TU website somewhere, but you can see this as a representation of a design process. So in the end, we are aiming at capturing value, and this, the first part of the process, is actually where our company does the work. So we our value lies in unraveling this chaotic, fuzzy front end of the process, where it's still unknown what people need, and it's still quite unclear what the actual problem is we are facing. So this is the part in which we work. And people like to hear, so what is your deliverable? What in the end, what is the value? So tell me, what if I hire you, it costs me money. I want to know what is the value that you bring to the table. And we cannot explain that in terms of clear deliverables, because it's actually the process itself that will only bring that value. So you first have to do the process, and then you know what comes out of it. Yeah, so I think a lot of the things that Julia said, I do recognize. So indeed, people would like to know where in their process do we add value. As clear as possible, they want to know in numbers even the impact of the work that we do. And how we try to do that, and we also see it as a process in which we are still learning. But it's really important to start with the people that see the value of your work. There are always people that we meet that do believe in this designerly approach for different problems. And I always also liked what was said before about try to cherish your current clients and try to build from there. And also try to challenge your current clients in introducing you to new ones, so they will know people that might believe in your approach as well. And so since selling trust also has to do a lot about you as a person. So it's not only our capabilities or our knowledge that we sell, but it has a lot to do with that people need to feel linked to you. So even before this presentation, I had a kind of a sales meeting with a potential client, and this client told us, I really love your energy. So if people say things like that, you know, really, this is someone that we are potentially going to do work for. Because if people can relate to us on that level, then there's some basic trust already. So try to look for the people that see the value of your work and build from there. Another thing that I really focus on is trying to get to a shared language. So try to get to a level in which you have the same definition of design, the same definition of design thinking, the same definition of research. What is it? And I have a very practical example of how we try to do that. So here on the left, and this is in Dutch, because we only have Dutch clients up until now at least. So here it says Co is curious, because that is what that's the theme actually that we embrace. And here in this corner, you see our bingo. And we take this is like a placemat that you can put on the table. We print it on A3. There's space for people to write on it, and it helps us to, it's actually a conversation starter, you could say. So in this bingo, we put some pictures, some illustration, but also the words that we need to define together when we start having a meeting with a potential client. We are explaining what we think is design thinking, what design research is in our definition, what social design means to us. It's very important to, when you start building that trust, that you also speak the same language. And this A3 paper placemat really helps in that. It's also a nice icebreaker in a talk. You can just give something, and it's also something that you can leave at the table. And when you are away, people will still remember you. Oh, that's from the people that were just here and talking to us. Of course, also showing examples of the work that you did is always a strong asset to bring to the table. So this is what we already did, and building your track record helps very much in showing your value. Another thing that we are doing is, we are talking to other people that are, for example, this cigar box company that I put a screenshot of their dashboard in here. They are making dashboards to visualize the impact of events. So, for example, Cinekit, which is a Dutch film festival for children. They need funds every year, and they need to, of course, also show what the impact was of their event. And this company helps with dashboards to make that impact really visible. And turn it into numbers rather than words. So that's also things that we are trying to discover. How could we, and we don't have the answer yet, but how can we turn our product into number impact? Last tip I would like to give is we are, as social designers, we are also linked to like a meetup or a network, I should say. It's called Social Design Showdown, and there are, well, I think by now over 100 people, and we meet up every once in a while, and we talk about the things that we do. We talk about how can we define what we do to better sell it. And if you get together in a network, and that's also something that you can do in Ghana, how can we use each other's power as well to make clear to the world that we exist and what our value is? Because if you start talking that shared language also among each other, that really helps. So key learnings: be patient. I would say, yes, having guts is very important, and also take the time. It takes time to explain to people what your value is. It takes time to build trust. And I definitely agree with being persistent, and that also means that stick to your message. It takes for around 7 times to hear the same message over and over again for people before they truly remember what you said. And we, as a starting company, we experience that it's sometimes we think, if things don't work out, we need to change our message. We need to do something completely different, because then we will be able to generate work. But be patient and stick to your message, because if you are consistent in your message, only then people will start understanding what you have to say. And yeah, the last thing that I would really like to state is, since we are all designers, we live this design process in everything that we do. We can see it as a design process. So also in selling your value, try to see this as a design process in itself. So keep iterating, keep learning, trial and error, learning by doing. And I'm sure that then in the end, we will all be able to sell our value, which I really am a vast believer in. So thank you for your, Joël, giving me the time to present what I had to say. And I'm very curious, of course, to hear your reactions and questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jessie. That's really great. Time for questions. We have just about 5 minutes for questions before we go to the breakout rooms. So kindly raise your hand or put it in the chat. Isaac is saying, be patient and stick to your message, with a clap. Richard, thank you, Jessie. Insightful presentation, value selling. Natasha is also saying, thanks for the reminder to be patient, and a lot of thank you coming your way. Any questions, you can raise your hand or you can type it in the chat, and I'll read it out. Oh, Richard, yes, kindly unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Hi, Jessie. Thanks for the insightful delivery. My question is, how do you create a design process, right? And what are some of the things you should take into consideration when creating a design process for yourself?
Well, thank you, Richard. So let me just check if I understand correct. You mean designing a process for selling our value, or do you mean how do we customize the design process to each project that we do?
So design process for selling value.
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing that we try to have is the mindset of a designer, meaning we try things out, we make a prototype, we test it, we experience how it works, and then we change by the learnings that we gain from that. So for example, that placemat, that I just showed, that we did, that A3 paper that we take to the table, that is something that we are still developing. So we just started using it. And so we try it out. We learn from our experiences, we adapt it, and then try it out again. So that would be the biggest tip that I can give you regarding your question. So have the designer mindset in terms of iterate based on your findings, and get into action to be able to iterate.
Okay, and Isaac is asking, is there a way one can revisit their message and massage or change it if it is not working? And Stephanie is also asking, Yessi, have you ever been in a situation where you had to turn down a design job because the client wasn't ready to welcome your ideas? So the first one is, is there a way to revisit a message and change it if it's not working? And have you personally turned down a design job if the client wasn't ready to accept?
Yeah, I don't think I completely understand Isaac's question. So Isaac, are you willing to explain a bit more about what you want to know?
Isaac, you can unmute yourself and explain further. Okay, otherwise we move to, otherwise you can also touch on Stephanie's question.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's there.
Yes, what I'm trying to ask is that if the value you are giving people, they're still not appreciating it, like you said, we should be patient and stick to our message. If our message or the value we are giving is still not working, is there a way we can change it based on our target market? Can we still change the message or the value that we are giving people? If A is not working, is there a way that we could go with B? That is my question.
Yeah, so let me try to answer if I understand correct. Yeah, I would say the value that you bring to the table, I said be consistent and persistent in your message. But of course, that's on a meta level. So each project in itself might need a little bit tweaking to explain very well what is the specific value for that specific project. So to make that a little bit more concrete, sometimes our value lies more in the capability of doing design research, and sometimes it lies more in translating already existing insights into creative concepts. So in that sense, of course, you can massage your own message more towards the specific needs of a client.
Thank you.
And then Stephanie's questions, have we ever been into a situation where we had to turn down a job because the client wasn't ready to welcome our ideas? Well, not so much as really turning it down, but we do sometimes work with a client in which we have to be very patient in getting at a different level than only doing design for predefined solutions. So with this client, we have been talking already since the beginning of the start of our company about that we want to co-create and we want to really dive into the experiences of their clients to be able to design valuable products. And so it's not so much having to turn it down, but it really does, for some people, does take time to get the message across.
Okay. I think what Albert asked, what is the value in itself? Who determines the client or the designer?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think it's more about aligning the value. So we need to be, we as designers need to be aware of our value, and the client needs to be aware of the value that he's seeking. And I think that the power of us as designers also lies in asking the right questions to this client to help the client to define the value that they are looking for. So
Yeah.
it's more aligning than that one of the two is in charge there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Yessi. This is how far we can go. So Richard, I think your further questions, Yessi would just type in quickly the answers to that, but we need to move on to the breakout sessions. And we have 20 minutes in the breakout rooms. So Thais or Irene, can you please quickly walk us through it? Thank you.
I'm also actually leaving it to Julia, right? You will share your screen, explaining the exercise, and then we move into the breakout rooms, correct?
Yeah.
I think you're muted, Julia. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to share my slides and walk you through the exercise. Continue. You see it, right? Yeah, so what we're going to do in the next part of the session together is we're going to work in groups on your thoughts about communicating the value of design. So, and we're going to do this, well, let me briefly kick off the exercise with providing you an example of the problem, if that was not clear from previous conversations and from the questions to the previous speakers. And nowadays, design seems to be everywhere. So the previous CEO of PepsiCo would say, oh, design is so important for us. We are going to shape in our future, decide our sustainable offering, our product pipeline based on the advice of the design department. But in reality, what happens is that the chief design officer of this company would go into these board meetings and they would start smiling at you and look convinced about the value of design. But then at the end, they would just, when you are out, they would just say, okay, thank God he's out. Let's go back to real life and to numbers. So that's the problem. There's still a lot of challenges in communicating the value of design. Let's reflect on that and let's share some knowledge and discuss based also on what has been shared with you in the morning. So we're gonna we're gonna give you 4 challenges, 1 per breakout room. You're gonna be in a breakout room for 20 minutes and then we'll be back and share experiences. And what you will discuss in your breakout room is how would you communicate your value in different kinds of strategic assignments or strategic challenges? Which capabilities will you emphasize? How would you organize your pitch? So we want you to discuss these questions in 4 breakout rooms. You will have your moderator in each breakout room that can remind you and guide you through these questions. And here are the 4 challenges that you'll be working on. In breakout room 1, you'll discuss about the value of design in branding. So imagine you're asked to pitch for a project about rebranding an organization. How would you do that? How would you explain your value in that project? How would you lead that project? Breakout room 2 will deal with the value of design in creating future visions. So imagine that you are pitching for a project about creating a future vision for an industry. For instance, the future of traveling. How do you add value? How would you pitch yourself? Why should you lead this project? Breakout room 3, the role of design in developing new digital services. Imagine you are running for a project about creating a new digital service for a company, like a niche shopping experience. How would you point out your key capabilities for doing that? And then breakout room 4, imagine that you're asked to help a company in developing an innovation process to develop better and more innovative ideas. How would you pitch for that project? How would you promote yourself? So these are the 4 assignments. I think for me, we are ready to go into the breakout rooms. You'll have 20 minutes to discuss. And after that, one of the breakout room members will report back to the plenary audience what were the main insights from the discussions. Try to be strict, max in 2 minutes. Think about a 2 minutes sharing back speech, and then I'll add some tips on what you say. So if everything is clear, I think we are ready for the breakout rooms, or?
Yeah, I'm doing them now. So, yeah, probably it's gonna take 12 minutes.
Julia, I also see that one of the part of the question was about the design capabilities. Would it be possible that you can drop down in the chat which one, what are they? What was the list of the design capabilities?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
maybe I
helpful.
can. Is it possible to copy paste files in the chat? I don't know. Let me. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will send you to the rooms. The topics, yeah, so don't mind the number of the room. You will see your topic. So the facilitator you're in will tell you which topic you're in. They are randomly choose. So yeah, I'll put you in the breakout room. You should say join the room. So you're gonna have a pop-up notification asking if you want to join the breakout room. So you just say join the room. Okay, I'll see you in my breakout rooms. Bye.
Hey, Uda, you should see something on the bottom of your screen, like join breakout room.
No, I haven't seen anything like that.
Okay, let me see if I can. I don't think I can reassign you, but let me try. I'm gonna text someone that can help you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please kindly read it once again.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, no, no. I think I would try to leave and then come back to see if the moment I come back, they would give me the option.
Exactly. I'm here and I'll text them, so someone hopefully
Okay.
they'll answer. Yep. So try that.
Okay.
Yeah. Putting weight, no, no, I can't do much because I'm not setting up the breakout rooms. Yeah. Yeah, we are in a parallel chat and
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can, but I'm still in the main room, not in a breakout room.
Oh, okay.
I think. Okay. No. No, non ti preoccupare, ancora non mangio freddo qua. Che fa, vai a dormire? Eh?
Okay, hi, hi, Julia. We are back. Oh, I think yours.
Yeah, I am. I had my.
Yeah.
Yeah, my keyboard is not so react. I try to control with the keyboard shortcut, the mute and mute, but it doesn't really work.
Okay, I think yeah, I think Elizabeth's group is also back.
Yeah.
So
And you both have a presenter.
Yes, we do. I do. Let me.
Okay, let's see where the others are. Apparently Irene is coming as well. And I see that Thijs is coming.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, we were almost finished with my group.
I saw you typing.
I didn't ask anyone from my group to be the one to present. So can one of the participants volunteer to just share back with the rest of the group a bit about our discussion? Who would like to do that?
Yeah. I think everyone is here in the meanwhile, and the volunteers from Thijs group will pop up later.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so is everyone back, Irene? So are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then let me put my screen on once more. And let's start. Talk. Yeah, so let's start sharing a little bit what you have been talking about. Branding group. Who was there?
This is Irene's group, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Irene, maybe you can share who is the person who will be sharing. You're muted, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, Isaac is going to share a bit what we talked about. Is it possible for you to share the notes I put?
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Stop share. Share screen. Here we go. Yeah. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Irene, you're still
Stop
typing.
typing. Stop typing.
Isaac, would you like to share what we discussed? You can.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that the breakup section was good, as they also gave us the opportunity to also reflect on some of the things that we've learned before and also share with the whole team. And so with my group, what we did spoke about was, as a designer, if a company approaches you for a branding project, what then would you tell them? What would you say to make you stand out? And so what I did share in the group was that most designers think that when people approach you about rebranding projects, it's all about making graphics, changing their logos, changing their colors. No, but I me on the other side, I think that rebranding deals so much about the psychological aspect of even the people working at the organization. We ask ourselves, are they themselves even ready? Because if it's about creating logos, creating letterhead, and changing a lot of things, then it means that they could even get somebody from a roadside, they could even get anybody to just make that. And so if the person comes to you for this thing, then it means that they see something unique in you. So I think that the whole rebranding process starts with the psychological aspect of it. And so we, my team also agreed to what I said, that the rebranding deals with more of psychological aspect before you then go on to understand what the company even stands on. For sometimes, for all you know, that the company even ready for even rebranding is just something that they need. It's not just to change their colors and all of that. So I think that rebranding deals so much with the psychological aspect of it before we move to the creative of the creating of graphics to back the whole project. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. And I think just to add maybe a bit onto that. So also we tried to link it back to your session, Julia, and what came out so from the designers is that they were saying that they would start pitching their achievements. So for example, how they increased revenues by entering new markets, for example. And they were, all the designers, I think they agreed in really try to understand how is the organization, what do they want to achieve, and how they have been achieving this thing till now, and then try to see there where is the problem. So they were talking about this brainstorming culture of designers, and also linking back to your session, Julia, they were talking about visualization skills that would be really important, because in the end, the branding needs to be embedded in a visualization skill, but also future aspects. So this future-oriented skill of designers. So these were the designers, and then the clients were talking really about the users, so the customers. And James, for example, yeah, James, do you maybe want to quickly, like in
super short,
explain what you were saying?
Okay, so I was saying that for me as a client, with modern marketing techniques, I think the major feature of a product or a design must either draw people away from pain or move them closer to pleasure. And so yeah, that's what I'll be I highlighted and I'll be looking for as a client, that whatever the rebranding process, or I mean the new brand, should be able to communicate that and effectively achieve that in terms of drawing people away from pain or moving them closer to pleasure, basically.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to share a couple of relevant insights on based on what you said, but this is not the right one. Share screen. This one. Share. Which slide do you see? Do you see the breakout room slide, or the
design and then
design? Oh, great. Yeah, so it's the right one. Yeah, so what I wanted to share very quickly is a story of a designer doing rebranding for an organization. So it's the story of the chief design officer of 3M. When he started, he was asked to, well, he actually was not asked, but he's an example of a fearless leader that tried to gain for himself and the design function a role in the branding of the company. And he pitched for rebranding 3M. And while the idea of the company was that they wanted to build their brand through new products, so adding new technologies, new tech-driven products to the portfolio, he said, no, let's stop and let me rebrand based on two things: increasing the brand value or the brand equity that you already have, and taking a human-centered perspective on branding. So focusing, as James was saying, on the pain, not the pain, but what the company, what the brand is doing for people. And so what he did, he pitched in terms of business value, of generating value, and he said, I'm gonna take you, I'm gonna multiply the brand equity of 3M, and I'm gonna put you into this ranking that is an American ranking for, well, international ranking for the most powerful brands. And in few years, 3M moved from into the top 100, into the top 50, something that it was very far away from their reach. And then he also created a brand around the human values that 3M delivers to people. So he created the branding platform 3M Science Applied to Life, where the branding is explained as different ways in which the 3M products help us improving different aspects of our life. So there's a part about how 3M can help us in our mobility, in our health, when we are traveling, and so forth. So I've been studying how design leaders pitch and gain engagement across stakeholders. And that's my current research. I look at how design leaders convince stakeholders to give them broader strategic tasks. And there are fundamental 3 narratives that you can use, which I think are interesting for you in terms of how do you pitch yourself. And there's a sell narrative, where you put emphasis on the business results, on measurable value, and where you present yourself as a business partner. Then there is a narrative where you show design, so show what design can do. And that's what Eric somehow did. The emphasis here is on the capabilities of the designer. So, and Eric, well, the chief design officer of 3M was actually showing what can happen with branding when you use a human-centered approach. So you present yourself more as a maker of things. And then there's a third narrative, which is educate. So you can convince someone someone to, well, you can engage a stakeholder or a client by bringing them new knowledge, by teaching them something that then they can do themselves. So potentially you could, Eric could have, well, the chief design officer of 3M could have positioned himself as someone that is going to teach to the marketing department a process to do branding in a human-centered manner. So these are the 3 narratives that you can use when you communicate your value and are trying to convince about your value. And they are based on the fact that they have to be used together. Well, you can emphasize one or the other depending on the audience, but they also have to be used together because, and here I link back to something that Jessie was saying in her presentation. It is about building trust, and trust has a rational component, as an emotional component, and a behavioral component. So in order to build trust, you need to trigger your counterpart in terms of their analytical thinking, so numbers, quantifiable, valuable. You have to make them experience, so get engaged emotionally with something. So you need to have them try now design. And then you need to change, well, teach them different behaviors. Show different behaviors, and that's the educate part of a narrative. So these are combinations that can of narratives that you can use, and you can actually use in any of the assignments that were given to you. I think we're going to go to the next one.
Yeah, Elizabeth would take up.
Yeah, if we can move to the, not the future vision, but the innovation first, because we're running out of time. We actually wanted to just let the everyone know that we are running a bit behind. So we plan on finishing in the next 20 to 30 minutes. I hope that's okay for everyone of the extension. But yeah, so we move to the innovation one.
Yes, thank you. And so my group had to deliberate on design and innovation approach. And the interesting thing is that before we started, I opened up the floor for people to speak on what they have gotten so far. And Albert mentioned the issue of value before we even got into discussing, and value was a big component of our innovation approach. So a lot of the conversation was around understanding what value means to the client and designer, and what value means in design, and brainstorming on it. And then the rest of the team also deliberated on the approach on how to work for the client. So I think that Huda, I nominated Huda to speak on summarizing everything that the group was able to discuss. So yes, Huda will take us through the process that we discussed and I'll come back to finish up if I have to add anything. Okay, so Huda, if you could mute yourself and then.
Do you want the slides on the notes?
No.
Okay.
Hi, sorry about that. I'm sorry. So after trying to get a good understanding of what value is, we went into what the initial stages should be when you want to approach an innovation process. And there was a contribution, sorry, I don't remember his name, but then he mentioned the first step to take in an innovation project is to understand the why, the what, and the how. It's very, very important to get answers to these before you even kick off. We also suggested that understanding the purpose of the innovation project and what the client would like to see at the end, what the client is trying to visualize is important. Brainstorming, getting ideas, trying to look at what processes or solutions the client has had in the past, why they need a change, looking at current trends and what's going on in the world and how your innovation project is going to sit well with the current happenings, and also looking at future predictions and projections for what could happen in the next few years or decades. Should also be part of the brainstorming process. Getting answers to all of these should form part of a holistic process and should guide your design work.
Yes, thank you very much, Huda. And I'd just like to add that the gentleman that Huda forgot his name is Richard. He spoke about the what, why, and how. And I would like to add that we also did speak on, the past process versus the real world, and that ties into the relevance of the project that you are doing as a designer and what it means to the current situation in the world. And the interesting thing with this is that because innovation is an ongoing process, our project is very special because it doesn't just have to speak to the real world and the current situation, but would have to be relevant in the next few years, such that if we should pick up the project and end results in the next 5 or 6 years, it will still make meaning to the whole idea of innovation. So that's what our team was able to bring up in the time given.
Yeah, thank you. I build immediately on that, and one of the aspects that I want to highlight about when you have such a thinking about a new innovation process is a very big assignment, and it's a very complex assignment. So, and it's not just about designing an outcome. So you are not just designing something isolated, but it's something that impacts the company that you work for very broadly. Probably you are going to change completely their portfolio, their processes, so how people behave, and perhaps the mindset and the strategy. And this will continue to happen as the world, there's not the outside world there, but that's also part of this line of thinking. So when you do these kind of projects that are very complex, and that is true also for branding projects, as designers, you don't have to think just about your outcome, but also about the intervention. So what are things you need to change in order for your new process to succeed? So the type of thinking that you need to do is much broader. And that's why I really liked what you emphasized about asking a lot of questions, understanding very deeply the organization before, because when you go into this kind of big projects, there's you cannot jump directly into that, but you need to do a very large amount of preparing the ground. So preparation is key. You need to put that even in your pitch. You need to dedicate time to understand the company and start triggering some mindset change. So if you work in these big projects, if you have ambitions to work in big projects, remember that your task is complex and requires a broader and thorough planning.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to add before we go to the next one that on the issue of value, which was I think we spent a lot of time talking about value, and I'd just like to highlight that Kathleen and Emmanuel made very salient points about what value is, and they said that it is what the designer brings to the table, and also what you are able, how you understand how important the project is to the client. And so I think that these were two very important points that were made that I just wanted to speak on. So what you bring to the table as a designer, and how important the project is to you as the designer, and how important it is to the client. Yeah, that is also part of the whole value of design.
Definitely, definitely. And I want to make a quick follow up on that, because there is a lot of discussion in the design community about whether, should we really prove our monetary value? Is it really the money, the core of the value discussion? In many cases, still unfortunately is, because companies or countries are not mature enough. But indeed, the idea is that the value is co-defined by the client and the designer together. So in an ideal situation, indeed, it should be it doesn't have to be necessarily monetary, and it's the outcome of the client and the designer really co-creating. So it's like optimizing the capabilities of both in order to create this shared and unique value. So I'm totally with you on that.
Thank you.
Do we go to breakout room on 2, so future vision?
Yes, please. Yes, so also for our breakout room, we actually were thinking through how the future looks for certain industries, and we actually took up the example given, because we realized that given the current corona pandemic, one of the major hit industries was actually the hospitality and tourism industry. And we're looking at how the future looks for such an industry, for example, because the industry is fundamentally embedded in human-centered experience and human-centeredness. So the whole idea of contact and how people experience people and places, and the fact that all of this has changed within very short time. So we're looking at how we can recreate that as designers, and once we have such a project at hand, how we can envision what the future looks like and how to recreate it for more value. So Sika is going to walk us through a few of the discussions that we had in our breakout room. Sika, can you kindly unmute yourself and speak?
All right, hi. So for our breakout room, we first decided to evaluate what the problem was with the hospitality hotel industry, and try to see what were the pain points that really exist right now and the way forward for the future. So we decided to take a 360 holistic approach. So we looked at the various services the hospitality industry provides, particularly the hotel. So we looked at things with respect to sanitation, transportation, dining, residency, events management, and security. So we thought about how best we could develop some structural changes, process changes, and experiential changes. So our design strategy was more focused around structural design. That would mean that doing some changes to incorporate the sanitary measures for COVID, like introducing aesthetically functional wash basins in front of hotels. Process design, so the process whereby when you come booking to get your rooms could be more digital. So incorporating a lot of IT and digital platforms into signing up. Dining, we talked about using maybe QR codes instead of you using the menu or brochures, using QR codes to scan to be able to view your menu on your phones or your tablets. So it minimizes more contacting. Experiential design. So we thought about how we could do conferences in a much more efficient way with less people in the room. So it could be that various conferences will have speakers dial in or instead the vice versa, which means that people that sign up to attend these conferences will actually log in online, whereby the speakers will be present in the conference facility with the live streaming going on. Also knowing about a hotel, like coming in to view the rooms, we thought that it would be better to have virtual tours of those sessions going forward. We couldn't conclude, but then another key thing we wanted to deliberate about was what is going to be the main strategy going forward, because hospitality industries are more centered around the user experience, but now has to pivot to a more digital centered user experience. So those were some of the things we deliberated about. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sika. And just to add, we also touched up on issues of security and robotics coming in. So for example, even people who do travel, how they're going to move from, for example, the airport to the hotel, where now we have to change the way that people even get received and are moved from the airport to the hotel. And one major question was also assuming that issues like corona or another viral stuff happens, what does that mean for such an industry? Does that mean that all the structural issues, or does that mean that a lot of the physical component completely goes away? What happens then to travel? So Lebene also mentioned, for example, like virtual tours, and we're thinking, where does, for example, robotics come in, VR and AR, where does it come in terms of right from the point where you actually move from an airport to a particular place, all completely virtual? Is that something to consider? So those are some of the questions that were also in our minds, that how do we design around it should the situation never change or get better? So, yeah.
Okay, so you focused really on trying to answer to tackle the assignment that was given to you. And what I see, because I try to general abstract a bit on how you can then, based on what you said, communicate about your value as designers. And what I see you were actually doing is using a lot of what if approach. So start making hypotheses and putting yourself into the future, and then start thinking about approaches that you could use to come up with this future vision. So what you could think about when you're pitching about future vision, a future vision project to a client is, it is a very imaginative process, a very uncertain process, because making a vision for the future, the future is uncertain by definition. How can we reduce the uncertainty by giving an overview of the methods that we are gonna use? So you can basically gain the trust of you can try to convince your client by reducing the perceived uncertainty. And a way in which you can do that is by being very clear on tools that you will use. And before, I gave you the example of Reframing Studio, which is a design agency that does future visioning. And what they really built on to get to convince their client is a very structured, academically research-derived methodology that clients can trust. So in a way, they managed to convince their clients by saying that they have a very good methodology, very well proven, which will lead to visions that have a certain reliability that can really happen. And that is a thought that you want to consider when you are communicating your value. Do you emphasize your tools, or do you emphasize your personal capabilities, what you are as a designer? Which is also very important, because that's what I think both Sunita and Yessi were doing in their presentation. They're very much about themselves and what they bring as unique individuals. And for you, the balance is, should we focus on tools when communicating design, or should we focus on ourselves? For you to think further.
And Julia, do you think it's important to also consider timelines, given the uncertainty that goes around the future? So is it necessary to put like maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, but then also be aware that everything could change in 6 months?
Yeah, so there's a very interesting tool that we developed at TU Delft that is called Design Road Mapping, which when you have a vision helps you breaking it down into milestones that you need to reach at every year or every 3 to 5 years. So indeed, that's a good thing to do. You show that you're great in envisioning this northern star, but you also try to break it down into feasible steps. So definitely a timeline is something that you should consider.
Thank you.
Last group.
Yeah, on digital services. Yeah, well, just as a quick recap, we've been discussing, yeah, what would be like a first approach to designing a digital service, what would be a kind of a start, and what would be designers and clients also see as priority to actually beginning the project. But I'll first let Osborne and Ellie share, and then I can complement with anything if there's anything missing. So maybe Osborne, you can start.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, your audio is not the best, but maybe if you can speak louder.
Can you hear me?
I can. Does everyone else can also hear?
Yes, it's quite faint, but it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So
now it's good.
Our team looked at creating digital service for a company, and a case, an e-shopping experience. So we considered first how to understand the problem of the client, and a few of us give some suggestions on how to understand the problem to begin with. So first, it's either you break down the client's brief to understand what exactly he's looking at, or a point I tried to suggest, but my network wasn't that really good, was that you use an informal section where the client tells you all that he's looking at, so that you are able to understand. The other thing is also for digital service, what is very important is the user experience. So being able to create a platform that when a user visits the platform, they're able to be able to select a product they want to buy, be able to ask questions, be able to pay without facing problems, so that they are easily able to recommend that platform to other people. So being able to create a platform that is very user-friendly. So in terms of design skills or design capabilities, we are looking at people who have UI, UX backgrounds to be able to diagnose how a user will be able to use such a platform to be able to obtain the most. The other thing we looked at was also for an e-shopping platform or for a digital platform. We definitely can do it without gathering enough data on usership, how in terms of prototyping the platform to be able to obtain the experience users have on using the platform, so that be able to include that to finalize the project. I think the other thing also is on how to reach customers. So in as much as we are designing for a client who is also ultimately going to sell to his or customers, we have to navigate how to reach the client's customers. So in terms of marketing or designing an engagement, a means of engagement for the client's customers. So either we bring experts on the team like copywriters to write copies. We have designers with videography background to be able to do videos as well, and to write a pitch or design a pitch to be able to get such a contract, or to be able to lead such a project as a designer. Your pitch should include something as clearly stating or defining a client's problem, identifying who the client is trying to get, what process or solution your team is going to provide, and then if you have any previous projects, you cite them for them to gain confidence in the fact that you can actually execute the projects. So that's what I remember from our discussion.
Thank you, Osborne. Maybe Ellie, you'd like to add something?
Yes.
Briefly.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think in our discussion there was a general consensus that the approach to solving the problem should be customer focused. So I'm just going to mention a few things that came up. So Charles said as a client, he would look at experience in choosing a designer. What experience does a designer have in designing UI and UX, since it's an online e-shopping platform? Because what experience does will the designer be able to create that will align with the desire of the client, which is to guide the designer through a flow that will lead to a sale. So we look at the customer behavior, and then how we could change the customer behavior to align with the goals of the client. And then I think Kumoji also mentioned that since it's in the digital space, we are fighting for the attention of people. So how will the interface maintain the interest of the potential user and the client enough for a period of time to be able to actually go through and perform a transaction? Then I think Natasha also mentioned that she would want to align the desire of the client with that of the customer, because generally what I've noticed in Ghana is that a lot of business owners are very attached to their idea of the company and are not really customer focused. So it's a bit of a challenge when the designer tries to educate the clients that, okay, you know what, let's focus on what the customer wants and not what your idea of a customer should be. So she mentioned that she would want to align these two desires so that there is as little friction as possible. Then Sunita also mentioned that it's a very crowded space. So she would also seek to add something novel that would set this solution apart from all the others that are making noise in the same space. So these are some of the things that came up in our discussion, which was very interesting.
Yes, thank you. I don't think I have anything to add. I think it's
yeah, it was
well
very
explained.
Yeah, it's very thorough and very interesting food for thoughts. I think the emphasis on the user experience is really important. So don't forget that that's your core identity. And so all your, however you decide to communicate about yourself, yeah, that's the core of design. You're going to bring this human perspective, and you're going to align everyone around this human perspective. So that's also the way in which you can come to a match with your clients. When you start talking about people, when you present very well done and very engaging personas or customer journeys that show the life of people, that's one of the connection points that you can make with your clients. So really don't forget about that and use it as much as you can. And remember that being human-centered means that you have to be understanding all the humans involved in the project, and that means also the stakeholders. So the clients are also humans, and your job is, yes, to bring the perspective of the users, but also understand the perspective of the stakeholders and bring those together. So be human-centered, but be human-centered towards all the humans involved in a project, and show that in your pitches. And I think we are really out of time. So I'm gonna, yeah, in a different scenario, I would have asked you to think about what do you think are your 2 key capabilities and what are your main 2 takeaways for today. I think this is a nice assignment that you can do at home or later on. So I thank you for an amazing experience, and thank you to Sunita and Yessi as well. I didn't have time to do so. And with that, I throw the ball back to Thais. And well, I'm available for questions if there are. Otherwise, I'll answer if there's time. Otherwise, I'll answer questions in another context. So.
Yeah, I think it's best that we leave questions for the Slack channel, or maybe people can connect to you directly. But thank you so much, Julia. This was extremely inspiring also for everyone. I think it's it was really, really great. And now I leave it to Irene. Irene is presenting the next part.
Sorry for this back and forth between presenter, but this is the nice and fun thing of a live event. So indeed, thanks Julia, thanks Sunita, and thanks Yessi. Now, sorry, I would like to share with you the homework that we would like you to do before the next session, which would be on Monday. So we know that the time is a bit tight for you to do this homework, but we really think it's also nice that you have all these learnings fresh in your mind and you can just put yourself into work. So we would ask you to do this assignment. So it's a different assignment for the designers and another assignment for the clients. Now I will briefly tell you what this assignment is going to be. And then later today, we're going to send you an email with all the detail. So the assignment for the designers is going to be to create your own pitch. So a pitch about yourself and about your value as designer. So what we would like you to do is first reflect on your learnings on design and on the value of design that you gained today. So let it rest a bit and let think about it and reflect. Then we will send you a pitch instruction sheet that I briefly show to you now, so you know you will recall it when you will see. So you will receive these two pages with the instructions for creating a pitch and with tips and tricks as well on how to create a pitch. Then we would like you to reflect on your value as designer. So building on what Julia talked about and what discussions that we had. We would like you to think about what is your value as a designer and how can you contribute to a project from your own personal experience and perspective. And then we would like you to plan out what you will say. So maybe you can write down on paper like a short bullet points of what you would like to say and how would you like to pitch yourself to clients. And then we would like you to record a video of 1 maximum, but really maximum 2 minute speech about yourself and about what is your value as designer. And then we would like you to share this video with us. So the deadline for this is this Friday at midnight Ghana time, and you will have to send it to me. But you will receive all this information later today. And this is the assignment for the designers. So really pitch yourself to the clients that are present in this program. Because then on the other side, the assignment for the clients is that you, the client or the businesses that are participating to this program will develop a project brief. So the clients, so you previously sent to us an assignment on that you would like to submit to this program and that you would like the designers of this program to work on as a team. And we would like you, so the client in this program, to as well reflect on the learnings on what is design and what is the value of design. Then we would like you to read this brief instruction sheet. We're gonna send it to you. I'll just quickly show it to you. This is my calendar. So it's this one. So it's 3 pages with the instructions and then guiding questions. You will receive it later today. We would like you to review the assignment you have shared before and to further detail it in a project brief. And you will have to fill in this template that we will share with you. And then we would like you to share this with Butterfly Works. So send it to Thais. Also, your deadline is as well Friday, 2nd of October. You will receive all this information via email, but it's just for you to know it. So we would like to explain it before. And then what we're gonna do with these assignments that we will receive. First, we're gonna create a showcasing site in which we will showcase all the designers' videos with the pitches and all the clients' assignment. So we will showcase on this website. And then so the designers will have to read all the clients' briefs. And on the other side, the clients will have to watch all the designer pitches. We also invite the designers to watch the other designers' videos and the clients to read other clients' briefs, just to have an idea and to broaden your knowledge. And then we will send you a form in which you will give a preferences on what you would like to work on. So for the designer, you will choose, you will give a preferences on which assignments you would like to work on. And for the clients on the other side, you will give preferences on the designers that you would like to work on. So you will see all the names of the assignments and all the names of the designers, and you will choose your preferences. And the deadline for this is Saturday, 3rd of October at midnight. So we will build this website on Saturday morning, and then you will have until the end of Saturday to choose who do you want to work with. And then we will do the matchmaking. So we will assign each brief to a team of designers. And we will share the matchmaking results on Monday, the 5th of October, before session number 2. And then you will work on these assignments together, the designers and the client, for the next weeks. I hope everything is clear. You will receive all this information via email. And if you have questions, maybe you can type down in the chat. But we will, we will touch base with you later today. Very shortly, we talked a lot about pitch today and about brief. So just really in a nutshell, what is a pitch? So a pitch is a short and appealing presentation that you will give. You can use few slides if you want, but we will also like to see your face. So either you can just record your face, or you can maybe record your face while you have some slides in the background. Or you can just record your voice on top of the slides. We're not looking for really well-edited videos. It can just be yourself recorded with your smartphone and just presenting yourself. The audience will be the potential clients that will give you an assignment. So you have to convince them on choosing you. And a pitch tells a story. So keep in mind that people usually remember feelings, so how you made them feel, and not information. So really try to be fresh, simple, relevant, original, and fun, as Sunita said before in her presentation. And briefly, what is a brief? So a brief is the process of defining the client's requirements for the development of a project. And usually the result of this brief is a document. And a brief for designers, so designer brief has 2 elements. The first part is project specifics. So project specifics really identifies the outcomes that a company or a client needs to be completed, and addresses the scope, the time, and the budget problems or requirements. and the project specifics generally focuses more on technical matters. But in this brief, we would like you also to complement the creative process. And the creative process is indeed included in projects that requires creative strategy. So that includes designers in this case. And creative process really needs continuous collaboration between client and creatives and the designer in this case. So during this work that you're going to do during the next weeks, we would really like clients and designers to work closely together and to have this continuous collaboration and feedback and communication. And as you are designers, also the creative process has an emphasis on the aesthetic elements. And so about really on visualizing and making things tangible to make them more understandable. And so these are all the informations we would like to give to you. But as I said before, we're going to share all of this in an email. And we're also going to share the presentation of Julia, of Sunita, of Yessi, and our presentation. So you will have all the slides and also the recording of this session that you can always look back. And I don't know if Joanna is still with us or if...
yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes. So yeah, I thank you all and I let Joanna conclude.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Irena. Thank you so much, everybody. You've done amazingly well. I see that all of us have stayed from start to finish, which is really great. Those who dropped off joined in, so that's really nice. And this has been basically the very first session of the training. And like we said, it's spanning over 4 weeks, so a full month. And we are hoping that this training session is going to get you to move a little bit up the ladder as you build your design careers, and also for you to start thinking of yourself as a global designer, because right now we are no longer thinking of ourselves as Ghanaian designers. We are thinking of ourselves as global designers, and who are able and are capable and ready to work for clients from all over Africa and all over the world. So that's how come we have also really put forward the concept of collaborating to you, so that you can see that as Butterfly works in Ghana Design Network, and Dr. Monk is working hand in hand with all these various institutions such as TU Delft, who gave us Julia today. Amazing session. I believe you all can attest to it. Also Basecamp, Sunita. It's opening you up to the network that you might not necessarily have. It's opening you up to the people who are actually making the strides. It's opening you up to a lot of guidance within the creative industry. So please don't consider yourself in a small corner any longer. Know that you are actually currently working your way towards working from anywhere for anybody from any parts of this world. So once again, congratulations for making it this far, because you were all selected out of the lot that applied. And we are hoping that you will stick with us throughout the training program. Once again, we would bring your way other trainers from different institutions and various backgrounds as you have received today. So for the next session, we'll have another inspirational session from someone. We are not going to reveal that today. We are going to have another trainer as well for the next session. Please know that you can reach out to any of the people who have been in the session. Say hi to them on LinkedIn, build your network. We cannot do that for you, so you have to take the proactive step, build your network, and then be consistent in the training program. We have a lot of assignments, we have a lot of guidelines. Please be sure to follow through. If you have any questions, you don't understand anything, reach out to me. You can reach out to Johanneke, Thais, Irena. You have all the contacts. And also we have the Slack channel. We will be creating a WhatsApp group as well with all the details. So if you have not filled the form, please do so that we can capture all the details and then put you in the group. If you need more guidance as to how to navigate your way through the channel, send any of us an email and we will help you. Or you can also just do a quick YouTube search, and it should be easy to go. Don't forget, we have a feedback form that you should please give us insights so that we can keep evaluating the program, and also improving on how we deliver value to you. And also there'll be data compensation, as we said earlier. So I hope that by now everybody has filled the form for the data compensation so that I can start sending you your mobile money. And like we said, you have 10 euros per session. So for this session, you have a data compensation of 10 euros in cedi equivalent. So please provide your mobile money number as well as your WhatsApp number in the form so that we can add you to the WhatsApp group. Don't forget your assignments and the feedback form, very important. Please check your emails. Please check your emails. Save the email of Pius, Irene, myself, Johanneke, so that it doesn't go to spam. So please check your emails, check your junk email, your other folders to be sure that you don't miss any important information from us. And also, please feel free to share your learnings on social media. If you've taken out any all the significant stuff that you took out from the session, the new contact you are forming, the collaborations you are making, share on social media. You can tag Ghana Design Network, you can tag Butterfly Works, you can tag TU Delft, Basecamp, all the institutions in the session. I would put all the links in the WhatsApp group once we create that, so it will be easy for you to tag us on social media. But once again, thank you so much, Julia. Thank you so much for the session, for the webinar, the training session. It was really insightful. Thank you, Sunita, for the great inspirational talk and also for sticking with us to the end. Thank you, participants. You are amazing, amazing, amazing. I don't know if I'm missing anything else, but yes, one more thing. Please remember, you have to be present for all the sessions to be considered for the exchange program. It's going to be competitive, but it's going to be fun. So assignments, presence, everything, you have to be fully participating. And yeah, we look forward to everyone participating in the exchange program. But yes, I guess I am done with all the information now. Thais, that's right? Yeah. I hope I haven't left anything. Okay, great. So
No,
we'll
that's
see you. Okay, great. Thank you.
Can we?
Sorry,
can we maybe all switch on? Yes, switch on the cameras so I can take a screenshot for a nice picture.
Yeah, I'm not sure you see me though because my power is off. So we are taking a group picture, everyone.
Yes. So I'll take some. So 1, say cheese. And 2, say cheese.
Cheese.
Nice. I have them. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. And see you in class on Monday, everyone.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great
Thank you.
day. Bye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.